11% of this game is what's now left over. And now, as I have already switched over to the bike I'm going to use for the first race, we are now going to do the Nostalgic Festival. And I figured I might as well start this off by switching bikes, because I'm now using the Honda CB 750F RM. And we have got 5 laps around each of these tracks as we're heading to New York, Grand Valley East, and Fuji Speedway from the 80s. And so we begin in New York, and where, as ever with these single race events, because I have so many bikes in my garage, I obviously have to make sure that I'm switching over for every single race I do. And plus, well, the other reason I chose this bike as well, because personally I wanted to. So we begin on the streets of Manhattan, and where this time we are riding around the forward course of New York, and already pulling off my first overtake on the Yamaha RSV, I believe that was. And he's already hit his speed limiter. He tries to pass me from the outside. He does so briefly, but I quickly take the position back again. No real competition over who was going to get the position in the end, because I had the running room. And now, closing in on the Honda NS 400 I used for the previous event, the 2-stroke Legend Series, I believe, is what we did before, if I recall correctly. And already I am immediately up into second position, and looking most likely to put together what will very much be a commanding victory from what I can see. And we are, I think, being led by the Suzuki GSX, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the Suzuki GSX from what I can see. And completing my first lap in 1 minute and 50 seconds. And I hit the speed limiter at 153. And the Suzuki GSX is still behind me, but I'm pretty sure I will no doubt separate myself from him in just a matter of feet, because I know the AI, in terms of their battles with these race events, they don't really seem to have the aggression to challenge the player for race wins a lot of the time. Plus, I also know that, if I'm being quite honest, a lot of these single race events, for want of a better phrase, well, a lot of them are pretty piss easy to win, from what I can see. But either way, I have now opened up a gap, and I'm pretty sure that from here on out, I am most likely going to win by potentially 20 seconds at the least. Possibly even more than that if I really get the hammer down. Unfortunately, the AI don't really have the ability to overtake in this game, which kind of sucks, but again, at the same time, it doesn't really matter all that much because, well, the AI in this game, they very much remain single file for most of these events. And, well, in all honesty, unless the overtakes actually come from the player, passing, I think, is a bit of a rarity from the AI in this game. Which kind of sucks, but at the same time, it's understandable because, well, they did have a short development time to make this game. And I know to some of you that might be unconvincing, but I will defend them by saying that this game did have a short development time. And of course, Polyphony has no doubt been able to flourish when it comes to short development times. So, off the Columbus Circle once again, and now heading down the front stretch back onto Times Square once again, or what appears to be Times Square, as I am now approaching the Jumbotron, or what appears to be the Jumbotron, and now I just have to continue pulling away with the lead. Huh, they actually have the Budweiser logo. That's interesting. Even though, because this game is technically child-friendly, you would normally expect those things to be censored. So, now we're back up to the what I think is the Plaza Hotel, and also closing in on the Empire State Building, which is somewhere nearby here. I think I just saw it there on the right-hand side. And if I just look behind me, you probably can see the Empire State Building right there, as I now head past the New York City Hall, or at least what is the Manhattan City Hall, and heading through Columbus Circle now for the penultimate time. Gap is now already 15 seconds to the Suzuki, so I'm pretty sure the odds of me losing this race by now with the form I'm currently setting are practically slim to none. And I just hit a new top speed of 154 as I went down the Times Square straight. And now onto the back stretch. Gap is now 15.5 seconds. There's no real reason for me to go aggressive here now. I have very much given myself a comfortable lead. I can just pretty much afford to lay back, because that is just how big of a lead I now have here on the streets of Manhattan. And heading by the Plaza Hotel now for the final time, and heading through these right-handers, and going by the Empire State Building, and I think the Rockefeller Center is somewhere nearby here as well. And officially heading through to Columbus Circle now for the last time in Race 1 of the Nostalgic Festival. And looks like I probably am going to win this by, at the minimum, of 20 seconds, which means the AI will most likely not make it to the line before the fade. And what do you know, I was right. So the Suzuki GSX in second, Honda NS 400R in third, and in last we had the Yamaha RZV 500. I wonder if I actually have any recent replays saved in New York, just whilst I'm looking into it. Of course, I know I probably don't need to save a replay in New York, because, well, there's probably too many shadows. Yeah, nothing recent. I don't really know. I could save it if I really wanted to, but I don't really feel too inclined to do so at this time. You know what, I'll leave it. I don't really think it's a wise decision for me to save a replay in New York at this time, because of knowing how many shadows it has behind each of the buildings, and also the skyscrapers. Anyway, get yet another helmet, and we get another Suzuki DRZ 400. And what do you know, we get another magical colour scheme. Anyway, on now to Grand Valley East. And before we continue, I of course am going to be changing bikes, and I think I know precisely which one it is I'll be using next, because I want to. So, I think the bike I'm going to use next will be... let's use the Kawasaki Z1000 S1. Because why not? I know I'm probably gonna put together a commanding victory nonetheless, but in all honesty, I just want to do this for the sake of parity. So that's what we'll use next. And then for the third race, I think we'll use the RG500. So, time for race 2 of the Nostalgic Festival. Since I have already used the Honda NS400 and the Yamaha RSV 500, this, I would imagine, is going to be pretty much a piss easy win. So, let's just get round to it. And pretty much make this as easy of a job to finish as I can possibly make it. I should also mention, this thing has really good brakes. And I think it's fair to say this is definitely going to be a commanding race win regardless of which way you look at it. And so, I round off the final corner here at Grand Valley East. And my top speed is 158, and I have no 6th gear on this bike. And since I know there's, in all honesty, nothing regarding any real performance deficits, I think the problems I'll have with winning this race are practically slim to none, from what I can see. As I dip to the inside of the Yamaha, and already I blitz him by half a second. Fortunately, however, Grand Valley East is not too long to get your head around. And one other thing I should mention about this bike is it has a top speed of 158. And because I was basically crouching and turning at the same time, I was able to increase that top speed to 161. I gotta say, this bike is very well balanced. Because I honestly would have thought for sure that with some of the speeds I take here at Grand Valley, I honestly would have thought for sure that I would have fallen off by now, but apparently not. And 4.4 seconds is pretty much the interval now. And I now have just 2 laps to go to pretty much pull away from my competition, as I now set a new maximum top speed in this race of 162. And well, because Grand Valley is technically a shorter track on the east variant over the full course, that's partly the reason why I am simply not pulling away as much as I was in New York. So I think it's fair to say the player definitely has the advantage on the longer courses compared to the AI, and that's partly the reason why I've more or less been able to blitz my competition with no real challenges. And this time I increased my top speed on this thing up to 163. And now I have wrecked. Well, I kind of knew I was going to get it wrong eventually, but I was honestly amazed to say that I actually did not crash in New York. I kind of knew I was probably going to get too greedy with the throttle input at some point, but it didn't really matter because I still had a large enough lead to realistically get the win anyway. And can I pull a wheelie? And nope, doesn't look like it. Oh well, at least I tried. Anyway, 6.4 seconds in the end over the Yamaha, and he's going to be the only one. Oh, never mind. The Honda also finished in the end. That's nice. So, yeah, you know what? I will save this replay. Because it's a Kawasaki. And also because, well, I figured, why not? So 2 out of 3 of us finished in the end. So definitely a closer race at Grand Valley East than it was in New York. And now we just have one more race to go. And for that, we will be heading to Fuji Speedway. So let's now collect our prizes and see what we get. So first and foremost, we get another helmet, another AGV helmet I might add, and for winning this one we get the Yamaha VMAX. Oh hey, I remember this thing. I think I actually saw it once or twice before. But either way, I still like this thing. This thing still looks pretty good in my opinion. But anyway, there we go. And now we move on to the final race at Fuji Speedway. I'm obviously not going to use the Kawasaki because I'll pretty much truncate the field with almost no opposition whatsoever. And now I will change over to my next bike, which I have decided is going to be, once I can find it, because I know I haven't used it yet, this, the RG500 Gamma. And I figured, well, whilst I'm here I might as well make the setup changes early, just to make sure everything works well. I think the only real change I need... Actually, on second thoughts, I might be okay with that top speed. Although, you know what? I might as well adjust it to 150, just in case. Just to make it a little bit easier by the time we get onto the front straightaway. I also figured I might as well do that little tweak early. So, we shall now move on to the final race of the Nostalgic Festival, with 5 laps around Fuji Speedway. And I was also pretty sure that I did have a pretty fun race the last time I raced here, because I was going up against a Honda, and believe it or not, I managed to beat that Honda. It was during the 2-stroke Legend Series when this happened, and as I would have guessed, the Kawasaki Z1000 does show up as an opponent. And well, because I don't really have a lot of time to pretty much fuck about with the Kawasaki, I might as well move my top speed up to... Actually, let's put it down to... yeah, 154 should do it. Because the Kawasaki's top speed in the end was 158 when hitting the rev limiter. So for this race, we have a Suzuki GSX 1100, a Honda NS400R, and the Kawasaki Z1000 S1. Ironically, the bike I used in the previous race. But either way, here we go. Now using the RG500 Gamma, compared of course to the RG250 that I used much earlier on in the race events. As I already cleared the first Suzuki, proving of course that I am very much the superior Suzuki in terms of outright pace. And now clearing the Honda NS400. And now I close right in on the Kawasaki Z1000. Had to downshift for a moment there. I have also got to be careful here. And off the final corner we go. Who is going to hit the speed limiter first? It's probably going to be me. And the Kawasaki is right up ahead of me. I don't think I am close enough to get into the slipstream or the draft. And I do bump him just a little bit there, but able to more or less give him the running room. And I do manage to seal the deal from the inside. And up to this point, I would say I'm doing okay. And just letting go of the throttle there just for a second. And it looks like I have more or less cleared the Kawasaki now. And off the final corner we go once again. And shooting down the front straightaway at 158 top speed. That was about the top speed of the Kawasaki that I rode last time. And it looks like this is more or less going to be where I pretty much seal the deal. I do also think if there were more bikes on the track, then say maybe 6 bikes on the track or something, this would definitely be a more competitive race, in my opinion. But then again, that's just what I think. I will defend this game in saying that it did have a relatively short development time, so they probably didn't work too much on the AI in terms of their racing. In other words, a lot of the racing you do here is pretty easy to pull off. And now we have completed 3 laps as we head into the first right-hander once again. And now heading down the hill into turn 2. And it looks like I'm very much pulling away with this. And I slip onto the grass. Oh well, it's fine. I did have a pretty big lead out front anyway, so it's not like I was just expecting myself to be perfect. just have to make sure I don't slip on the bike again. As I head through the final turn once again. And I think the gap is still 6 seconds to the Kawasaki. Although it's probably more than that by now because, well, I do have the faster bike. And 6.7 seconds is what it now is. And I've run wide again. Oh well. Mistakes are expected at least once or twice. But as long as I don't do it too many times, then I think we should be fine. And downshifting through that long left-hander because I chose to make sure that I more or less stayed in the corner. And the gap is now 7 seconds to the Kawasaki. So it looks like it's going to be a relatively easy win here from what I can see. And so there we go. Can I pull up? I cannot pull off a wheelie, unfortunately. Oh well. At least I celebrated some sort by putting it on the grass. Anyway, 8 seconds in the end to the Kawasaki, and it looks like... Oh, the Honda did finish. Well, at least I can say there was a bit more action, as well as speed, at these two places compared to New York. Because New York, I pretty much put on a clinics performance. Anyway, there we go. So that's now the Nostalgic Festival done. And what are we going to get this time? Probably another racing helmet from what I can see. And yep, I was right. I might also consider switching my riding gear. And what do you know, we get another Buell Lightning. I'm not surprised. Anyway, there we go. The Nostalgic Festival is now done, and if there's one word I would use to describe it, I won. Easily. And now we just have 2 events to go. Got the TT Classic Series and the TT World Series. So, let's now go and check out our 2 new bikes. I'll also make sure to change the riding gear again before we get on with our last 2 championships. So here's our progress now. 90.7%, so we've gained 1.6% of progress, kind of what I was expecting. And now, let's go and look at what bikes we won, once I can find them. So, yeah, here's the first one. I think I will have to check to be sure. Yeah, it has to be that one. Yeah, I'm sure it's that one. Okay, so from race 1 we get another Suzuki DRZ 400SM. I don't know how many of this bike I now have, but I've got to have at least 2 or 3 colour variants of this bike. But whatever. Although that could just be the only one. Oh, correction, it's not the only one. Because I have another one as well. Okay, anyway. So that's what we get from race 1. From race 2, Once I can find Yamaha. Oh, there it is. We get the VMAX Racing Modify. Here it is. And I gotta say, this thing might have done well in the Monster Series if it was an eligible entry. I could have actually considered using this thing if I really wanted to, but unfortunately it wasn't available to me at the time. So yeah, there was that. And last but not least, we got another Buell, once I can find it. Yeah, this is what we got. In Kick-Ash Translucid. The Buell Lightning City Axe. Okay, I'm done now. And so, there we go. Another series is quickly won and done. And now, we will move on to the classic TT series, coming in the next episode.